Hello, Eurovision friends. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, Eurovision Histories, for another way to fight post-Eurovision depression. And that is by ranking all 72 songs that have managed to win the Eurovision Song Contest in its long, long history. I did this 2 years ago, but we have two new winners, and I've also changed my opinion on some of these songs. And so I want to do it again. And we have these tiers. The top 10, we have great, we have good, we have mid, we have not my cup of tea, and we have the bottom 10. So the only rule is that I have to put 10 songs in the top 10, obviously, and also 10 in the bottom 10. But in the middle tiers, I can put as many songs as I want. We're going to go through it chronologically. And as this is Eurovision Histories, I will be doing all the winners, not just from 2000, or I've seen a lot of channels do this, but they usually start in the year 2000, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of the greatest winners are earlier than 2000. So let's get right to it. The first song I want to talk about, and by the way, this is my personal subjective opinion as per usual. So if you have a different opinion, leave a comment and try to convince me why the song you like more than I do is better than I think. So first song is Lys Assia, Refrain, our very first winner from 1956.
Refrain, couleur du ciel, parfum de mes 20 ans.
So this is a pretty hard one to rank, I think, because it is quite iconic as the first winner. The song itself is quite alright. It's very old-fashioned, obviously. It's from 1956. But then again, there were other songs that sound more modern to my ears nowadays, like the two German entries. One was lyrically very interesting, and the other one, So geht das jede Nacht, was like a modern swing song, which might have pushed Eurovision in a whole different direction had it won. I like the French entry, Il est là, also, and maybe this winning had something to do with the fact that the Luxembourg jurors didn't want to travel all the way to Switzerland and asked the Swiss judges to vote in their place, and surprise, Switzerland won. It is a worthy winner, I have to say, but it isn't one of my favorite songs. So in the tier, I would put this, I think, in not my cup of tea. For now, sorry, Lys Assia. Then 1957, Corrie Brokken, Net als toen.
Wees nog eens lief, net als toen.
This is very well performed and well sung. She's an experienced performer. You notice that the lyrics are very modern in this case because she sings to her husband. Basically, you're getting bigger and you're losing your hair, but why can't we have some of the nice things we used to have before? For 1957, I feel that's very modern, actually, for a lyrical theme. The song in the verses is quite tongue-in-cheek, and in the chorus, that you probably know from the clips you hear, is more of a ballad, but overall, this works quite well, and so I'll put this one into the good tier. 1958, André Claveau, Dors mon amour.
Dors mon amour, ma princesse endormie dans sa tour.
This song sounds old-fashioned, I think, even for 1958. It's very dramatic. The way he performs this is a bit overly dramatic, I feel like. The lyrics are nothing to write home about, and it sounds a bit like a lullaby. It's not exciting all that much, and the fact that this one against Volare is not helping it in my estimation, unfortunately, and so this one goes to my bottom 10 for now. He performs it well in a way, but yeah, a bit too overdramatic. 1959, Teddy Scholten, Een beetje.
Een beetje, verliefd was je wel meer, meneer, dat weet je. Je hart kan wel eens meer op een ideetje.
I love the tongue-in-cheekness of the song. I love how she performs it. I think she's a perfect singer for this entry. The Dutch language really works with the song as well. The lyrics are about asking your partner whether he will be faithful even a little bit, een beetje, and basically saying don't promise anything that you can't keep, which also, again, is very modern, I think, for 1959. And it's quite catchy as well, so this is one of my favorites in the 50s. And I'll put this in the great tier, actually. 1960, Jacqueline Boyer, Tom Bilibi. The most interesting thing about this song, I think, are the lyrics, because they are about Tom Pilibi, who's very rich. He has castles all over the place, and he's sort of a womanizer, but then she tells us that he's her best friend and she knows his secret. So he's lying about something. We don't know whether he is not as rich as he claims to be, or maybe he's not as much of a womanizer as he claims to be. So that is intriguing. However, the vocals, if you've been to this channel, you know I can't really stand high-pitched vocals, and this song is sung in, I think, head voice throughout, and that kind of kills it for me, unfortunately. Again, my personal subjective opinion, and so Tom Pilibi unfortunately goes to my bottom 10, even though the lyrics are quite interesting. 1961, Jean-Claude Pascal, Nous les amoureux.
Nous les amoureux, le soleil brille pour nous.
So we're starting to see how powerful French is at that moment in Eurovision history. Another French winner, this time for Luxembourg. And we also see how important lyrics seem to be, because again, here the lyrics are really, really interesting. He sings about being in a couple, but they can't really be together because everyone around them is against them. Everyone around them doesn't approve of their relationship. And he also sings of a time that he imagines where their love won't be a problem. And years after winning, he actually confirmed that this was about same-sex love. So we have our first sort of LGBT winner of Eurovision, which is really cool. But the song itself is also a cool composition. He performs this very nonchalantly, if that's a word. And it's just one of my favorites, really, overall, I have to say. So I'll put this into the top 10 right away. I might have to change that later on because a lot of great songs are coming up, but for now it's in my top 10. 1962, another French one, Isabelle Aubray, En Premier Amour. As you could see, she's an incredibly charismatic performer, which might be one of the reasons why this won. The song has a great intro. It has an interesting flow as well. It sounds a bit Mediterranean to me, as if you're sat at the beach looking at the sea a little bit. It's not a radio-friendly song. It's not a catchy song, which I think hurts this in the longevity department. Not a lot of people remember this, I think. She returns in 1968 with a great song, La Source, which I think is actually better than this one, but she does manage to win with the better song. This is something that happens a few times in Eurovision history. We will see that in this video as well. But because the song is not as, catchy and feels a bit old-fashioned, I have to say, I'll put this in the mid-tier for now. 1963, Grete and Jörgen Ingman, Danse Wiese. This is such a cool song. The intro reminds me of a Johnny Cash song, or it could be the theme of a cowboy movie. And there's also a distinct Nordic feel to it in a way. The bass and the guitar kind of tell their own story throughout the song. And then her vocals layered throughout the song as well, which are a bit sweeter. It's just a cool combination. And it just works. The lyrics are about inviting someone to dance, as far as I understood them. And this is just a vibe, this song, and it just really, really works. And I like this quite a lot, so I'll put this in the top 10. It might go down a little later on, but this is a very, very good song. 1964, Gigliola Cinquetti, Non ho l'età.
Non ho l'età per amarti.
Our first winner in Italian, and this is a classic winner of Sanremo, but also of Eurovision. She was very young when she performed this, which gives the whole thing a very authentic feel. She performs this beautifully. There's a lot of vulnerability as well. And the instrumentation is very interesting, very stripped back in a way, but lots of stuff happening in the instrumentation. The main issue with this are the lyrics. It is kind of a product of its time, but she sings about loving a man that is too old for her. I am not old enough is the title of the song. And this might be okay if she had written the lyrics, but it was actually a man who wrote the song for her. So that makes it feel a bit, But and she has said herself that she doesn't like that aspect of the song. She sings about she wants a romantic love before she gets into the whole aspects of love. Yeah, it's a beautiful song, and she performs this incredibly well, but the lyrics are a bit problematic. However, it is a product of its time, and we shouldn't judge it from modern standpoints. So I'll put this in the great tier as well. By the way, Gigliola Cinquetti had a great song that she returned with in 1974 called C. And if she hadn't competed against ABBA, she probably would have been our first double winner ahead of Johnny Logan. 1965, France Gall, Poupée de cire, Poupée de son. Another iconic winner. I think most Europeans know this song. The way she performs this is so fresh and unassuming, and it really feels like the 60s, like she drags Eurovision into the 60s, and the song is just incredibly catchy as well. It stays in your head after listening to it. The issue here again are the lyrics. Again, a man wrote lyrics for her, and it's a bit meta because the lyrics are about the puppet being put on stage by someone performing songs that she doesn't really understand. And France Gall later on said that she didn't realize what was happening, what Serge Gainsbourg, who wrote the song, was actually doing. And so that sours the whole thing a bit for me. There are other songs that he did with her that are even more suggestive. But again, product of its time, I guess, and it's just very iconic, so I'll put this in the great tier and actually ahead of Gigliola Cinquetti. 1966, Udo Jürgens, Merci Chérie, and despite the title, this is our first winner in German. This was his third consecutive attempt to try to win for Austria, and he did manage to win on the third try. It does feel a bit constructed to me, this song, as if he realized in the first two attempts what the juries actually like. Adding that bit of French in the chorus makes a lot of sense in 1966, as we have seen how powerful French was at the time. And I just also know a lot of his other songs because he had a decade-long career after Eurovision. Griechischer Wein, Ich war noch niemals in New York. And it's just a bit constructed to me, and it doesn't feel as authentic as some of his other songs. I know a lot of people who love this. It's very romantic, obviously, and he performs it incredibly well, which is why he built a decade-long career after it. However, it's not one of my favorites, and so I'll put this in not my cup of tea for now. 1967, Sandy Shaw, Puppet on a String.
Say I love you, Daddy. I'd gladly be there like a puppet on a string.
This looks and feels incredibly modern to me. She looks like someone from the 60s. It's the first winner that has a bit of choreography as well. She's barefoot, which becomes somewhat of a tradition for Eurovision winners. And it's a very catchy song. I think it's kind of iconic. I think a lot of Europeans know this song, even if they don't know that it won Eurovision. However, again, a bit of a problem with the lyrics here because she sings, if you love me madly, I'll be there like a puppet on a string, which doesn't really sound like an emancipated woman. And she herself has said that she didn't like the song for this reason, among other things. She is obviously a very experienced and great performer, and the song is all right, I would say, but it's not one of my favorites. I'll put it in the, I think, mid-tier for now. 1968, Maciel, La La La. This song, I think, gets a bit of a bad rap because people only know the snippet from the chorus with the many repetitions of La La La, and they think, what a typical Eurovision song, repeating the same word over and over again. But if you actually listen to the entire song with the verses, it's a lot more interesting than people give it credit for. The verses are very dramatic. She has a very smoky sound to her voice, a great vocal tone, and she just performs this with so much energy, the backing singers as well, that it makes sense that this won, because another reason why this gets a bad rap is that people expected Cliff Richard to win. There are allegations of corruption. why Maciel won and not Cliff Richard. But I think if you look at the performance and especially the energetic performance that Maciel gives, it makes sense that this won. The background story before going to Eurovision is a bit problematic as well, because the song was supposed to be performed by Juan Manuel Serrat, who is a great artist. Check him out if you haven't yet. But he wanted to sing the song in Catalan and wasn't allowed to, because in Franco Spain you weren't allowed to sing in regional languages. And so they chose Maciel to go instead and sing the song. I think Juan Manuel Serrat would probably not have won Eurovision, because her energy is one of the reasons I think this won. But overall, this background makes it a bit less enjoyable for me, at least, but it is still a good song and a cool performance especially, but I'll just put this in mid for now. Next up, we get to the very interesting year of 1969, because we have 4 winners. They didn't have a tiebreaker rule, and so we got 4 songs as the winner that year. The first one we're going to look at is Frida Bucara, Un jour en enfant. This to me feels a bit like En Premier Amour, a great charismatic performer, great vocal performance, but it's not really a song made to stay in your head. It's to be enjoyed while it is performed, which is fine. But I also think that the lyrics could have been a bit more interesting, and so I'll put this in the not my cup of tea pile, even though it is quite beautiful. Then Lénicourt de Troubadour. I love this 2 bits because it feels incredibly authentic. It feels a bit medieval in the instrumentation. The lyrics are about a troubadour who goes to different settings and adapts his style of performing to the different settings. It's quite meta because she performs this like a troubadour in a way. I love the emotion she puts into this performance. I think the Dutch language works really well here as well. And it's just so cool, this song. I love listening to it. And so this goes right to my top 10 as well, which is filling up a bit too quickly, I think. Then Lulu Boom Bang Bang. This is, other than La La La, not better when you listen to the entire track. I think this feels like it is made for Eurovision. The slightly ridiculous title and chorus of the whole thing, it is performed quite well by her, but it's a bit too saccharine, too sweet for me, and too cheesy. And so this is unfortunately going to my bottom 10. Salome Vivo Cantando, our last winner in 1969. I love the intro for this. I love the spunk that she performs it with. I love how the tempo becomes faster and faster, very Schum, very Erika Wickmann in a way, but it is also quite repetitive. She repeats Vivo Cantando so many times during the song that it is a good song, but not a great one, and I'll put this in the mid-table along with La La La. I think La 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 is actually a bit better than this one, but they're quite similar in some ways as well. Then we enter the 1970s with Donna, All Kinds of Everything, our first of many Irish winners.
All kinds of everything remind me of you.
This is one of these songs that feel a bit childlike. It's overly sweet, the way she performs it. Obviously, she's very young, so that's fine. But the lyrics are just incredibly cheesy as well. Early morning dew and whatever, all kinds of everything remind me of you. It's a bit too much for me. She performs it well, as I said, but the song itself is just a bit too much. And it's actually in my bottom 10, I think, at the moment. 1971, Séverine en banque, en arbre, une rue. So this is one of the first of a slew of female ballads performed by very good vocalists in French and full of energy as well. She sings this really well. There's a lot of verve in this performance. Lyrically, it's not as interesting. And out of all of these songs coming up with a great female vocalist, this is one of the less interesting ones, I think. And so I'll put this in mid-table as well. 1972, Vicky Leandros, Après Toi. She's very famous in Germany, so that might have influenced my opinion on this a little bit. But I think it's more the instrumentation of the song, which feels a bit Greek. Some of the instruments feel Greek to me. She is obviously from Greece. Her father composed the song. So this feels a bit like the first Greek winner, actually. The lyrics are great. Her way of performing is just incredible. There's a reason why she has a decade-long career in German-speaking countries, and I think also in other countries. She's quite well known. A great vocal tone, very unique vocal tone as well. And every single time I listen to this song, I like it a little bit more. So this has definitely stood the test of time, a lot more than some of the other female-led ballads we're going to see in a moment. And so this goes straight to my number one at the moment, if I can do it, yes. Just a wonderful song. 1973, Anne-Marie David, Tu te reconnaîtras.
Tu verras, tu te reconnaîtras.
So again, a female-led French ballad with a lot of energy. She performs this incredibly well. She is a great and charismatic performer. She returns in 1979 with a song, L'Enfant Soleil, which I think is so much better than the song that she won with, lyrically and everything else as well. This one is quite okay. It's kind of catchy, but it's not one of my favorites, unfortunately, so I'll put this in the mid-tier as well. Actually, maybe below the two Spanish winners. Then 1974, ABBA, Waterloo, our first Swedish winner, and obviously an incredibly iconic performance. Everything about this, the way they perform it, the choreography, their outfits, they just drag Eurovision into the 1970s, and it's a pleasure to watch them perform this. The song is incredibly catchy, obviously, as well. The lyrics are quite cool to compare Falling in Love with losing a battle. Napoleon losing a battle at Waterloo is a fun idea. And so I don't really know what to say. This is one of the best winners. Obviously, it started a worldwide career for this band. And so I'll put this in the top 10. But for me personally, it is not as good as Après Toi, actually. 1975, Teach In Ding a Dong.
Ding a dong, listen to it. Maybe it's a bigot. Even then your lover is gone, gone, gone. Sing ding ding dong.
This feels a bit like it's trying to copy what ABBA did. Some of the outfits look a bit similar. The song is all right. I quite like it, actually. It's quite catchy, but the lyrical content is a bit lacking of a real depth, I would say. The title Ding a Dong is a bit very Eurovision, but yeah. If you've been to this channel, you know I don't like these kinds of titles all that much, but she performs it well as well, so I'll put this in the good tier. As you can see, I kind of seem to like Dutch and Luxembourg entries for now, but maybe that will change. Then Brotherhood of Man, Save Your Kisses for Me, 1976.
Kisses for me, save all your kisses for me. Bye bye, baby, bye bye.
This is the most successful Eurovision winner ever. I think the most successful song is probably Volare. It's a bit too childish and sweet for me, but obviously people love this. It's kind of an iconic song as well. I think a lot of people know this. And the idea to sing about Save Your Kisses for Me, and at the end of the performance, it's about his daughter waiting for him to return home is kind of sweet. They had a cool choreography as well. One of the first winners to have an actual real choreography. And so it makes sense that this won, but it's not personally one of my favorites. I'll put this in the good tier though. Then 1977, Marie-Myriam, L'Oiseau et l'Enfant, our last winner from France.
L'amour c'est toi, l'amour c'est
This was one of the first earlier winners that I discovered after getting into Eurovision in the early 2000s. I think I downloaded an MP3 from some website somewhere. I can't quite remember. But I immediately fell in love with this song because it felt so interesting when it comes to the instrumentation. It has such an interesting flow and vibe as well. It soars, it's in French, which I always love, and she is a very good performer as well. So it makes complete sense that this one, the lyrics are all right, nothing to write home about, but just something about this, the vibe of the song just made me fall in love with it. And I'll put it in the top 10, even though I already see that I have to change a few things later on, unfortunately. Next up, Isa Cohen, Abani B, 1978. This one I never really connected to, even though he performs this with a lot of energy and it feels quite modern because of his way of performing it. I just never really got into the chorus of the song, I think is the main problem. The verses are actually a bit better, but not one of my favorites, and this is actually going into not my cup of tea. 1979, Milk and Honey, Hallelujah. Here I love how subtle and how calm this is. The instrumentation is beautiful, quite stripped back, but very beautiful. The harmonies between their voices really work. I love the flow of the song. It's very relaxing in a way as well. It is a tiny bit repetitive, I do think, as well. But this goes into the great tier and actually ahead of some of the songs from the 50s and 60s. 1980, Johnny Logan, What's Another Year?
What's another year to someone who's lost everything that he owns?
Our first Johnny Logan winner, obviously. He performs this very well. He's very charismatic. His vocals are crystal clear throughout the entire performance. The song is a typical ballad. It is a bit dramatic when it comes to the lyrics for me. So someone who's looking for love, who can't find someone to love him, what's another year for someone who's lost everything that he owns, is a bit much for me. But well sung, well performed. But it's definitely the worst of his two songs. And so I'll put this in, I think, mid and below. Around there. That makes sense, I think. 1981, Bucks Fizz, Making Your Mind Up.
Make the rules of the game will let you find the one you're looking for. And then you can show that you think you know you're making your mind up.
This is one of these performances I really can't get into because I think it relies way too much on the gimmick, tearing the skirt off. And they are not that charismatic, I don't think. The song is a bit lacking in a lot of departments, in my opinion. I really don't like this song. It's kind of catchy, I do have to say that. But otherwise, this is not that interesting to me, and so it goes into the not my cup of tea pile. 1982, Nicole, Ein bisschen Frieden.
Ein bisschen Frieden, ein bisschen Liebe, dass ich die Hoffnung nie mehr verliere.
So the first winner from my own country, Germany, and when I grew up, this was kind of iconic as our only Eurovision winner up to that point. She performs it well, especially for her young age, and I really like that she sang this song in 4 different languages for the winner's performance after winning Eurovision. But the song itself just feels very cheesy to me. I don't know why so many people love this. I think maybe because they don't understand the lyrics 100%. Like, the message is quite nice, a little bit of peace. Everyone wants that. But the song, the instrumentation, the composition is also a bit cheesy to me. And so this is definitely not one of my favorites, unfortunately. I'll put this in not my cup of tea as well, but ahead of a few of the ones we've already seen. 1983, Corinne Hermès, Si la vie est cadeau. So another one of these very high energy French ballads. She performs it incredibly well. The lyrics are kind of interesting. It's about lost love. But out of all of these typical French ballad songs, this is my least favorite, I think. And so I'll put this below Anne-Marie David in the mid-tier. 1984, the Harrys, Diggy-Loo, Diggy-Lay.
Diggaloo, diggalay, himlen öppnade sig. Det är knappt sina ögon tror.
I know that a lot of people love this, but I just can't get into it. It feels very gimmicky as well. The song sounds a bit like a song for a cartoon or an anime, which isn't a bad thing per se. The lyrics are kind of fun, talking about them walking around in their golden shoes, and obviously they have golden shoes on during the performance. But I watched the 1984 contest a long time ago, and it makes sense that they won because the other songs weren't better than this one. But I just can't quite get into it all that much. And so this goes into my bottom 10, sorry, to the Harrys. 1985, Bobby Sox La det swinge.
La det svinga, la det rock'n'roll. La det svinga till jag mister all kontroll.
This one I like a lot more, I think because of the chemistry they have on stage. You really feel like they have fun performing this song, and it is a lot of fun listening to them. The song is quite catchy. It's not the most amazing composition ever, but their voices work really well together as well, and the glittery jackets are just kind of fun as well. So I will put this in the, well, good tier for now. 1986, Sandra Kim, J'aime la vie. Let's start with the positives for this. I'm very happy that Belgium got their first win with this, and I'm happy for her as well because she seems like a lovely person. But this song and performance just combine a lot of things that I really don't like all that much, unfortunately. Sorry, Belgium. But her vocals, this childlike style of singing, very high as well. She was very young, obviously, but I just don't like that. I feel like this overjoyous performance is not very authentic either. The pink in the outfits is a bit too much for me, and the lyrics are just not great either. They actually mention Jacques Brel and Mozart, which is like, why? Yeah, lots of things I don't like about this, unfortunately, and this is actually one of my least favorite winners in Eurovision history. 1987, our second win for Johnny Logan with Hold Me Now.
Hold me now, don't cry, don't say a word, just hold me now.
This is quite a standard pop ballad, objectively speaking, but there's something about it that really makes me fall in love with it every single time I hear it. I think it's his way of performing it with so much verve and drama as well. His vocals are very good, obviously, as well. The brass in the instrumentation is really cool. This feels very cozy and just a very well done ballad, and so this goes right into the great tier for me, actually ahead of a lot of the other songs we've already seen. Next up, it's Selin Dion, Ne partez pas sans moi, 1988.
Ne partez pas sans moi, laissez-moi vous suivre.
If you've been to this channel, you know that I'm a huge Celine Dion fan. I have the vinyl of this song and performance behind me in a lot of my videos. I just love her style of performing. Obviously, she adds so much drama and spunk into this performance. There's so much energy. Her vocals obviously are impeccable. The song itself, she has about 20 songs in French that are better than this one and 20 songs in English on top of that. But I have grown to like the song more and more as I listen to it more. It kind of combines my two fandoms, the Celine Dion and the Eurovision fandom. The outfit has been talked about a lot, which wasn't great, but otherwise this is such a cool, energetic performance. Now when I listen to the song, I really feel energized, which is a very positive thing, obviously, for a song. And I mean, it's Selin. What can I do than put this in the top 10, but actually below Après Toi, because the song is just not as good as Après Toi, but ahead of Waterloo. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Then 1989, Riva, Rock Me Baby.
Baby, we have eyes to stay rock me, baby. Someone
the only Eurovision winner from a country that doesn't exist anymore. This is a fun song, sounds quite 80s to me. It could be the title track of a cartoon again, one of these Croatian cartoons from that era as well. She performs it well. It's smart to add the English in the lyrics as well. For 1989, you notice 1966, Udo Jürgens added some French, and now you add some English because that's what makes you more successful. The lyrics are interesting. She's invited by the mayor's son to a piano bar, and then he discovers that she is a very good dancer. Overall, it's catchy and fun, but it lacks something to really catch me, unfortunately. I love the national language, of course, in this, but where do I put this? I think in the mid-table below Puppet on a String. Yeah, that makes sense. 1990, Tutto Cotugno Insieme. This is another one of these older winners that I discovered after getting into Eurovision, and I fell in love with this as well. The lyrics are very cool, the theme of uniting Europe, insieme, and then they actually sing together for most of the song, the backings and him, creating these great harmonies. I have an Italian song for you. Kind of as a gift to the rest of Europe. I really like that idea and theme of the lyrics. He sings it well. He's a bit better as a singer than as a host, as we discovered the year after. But it's a very catchy song as well. I think this was on the radio in Germany probably when I grew up because it feels very familiar as well. And so this goes into the great tier. I think below, well, I'm not sure. Ahead of Hold Me Now, I think even. 1991, Carula, Fångad av en stormwind. This was another one of these early winners that I discovered really early on, and I fell in love with this as well. I think this was the first time I ever heard someone sing in Swedish. And if you hear someone for the first time, make it Carula, I guess. This is a very positive, life-affirming song. It compares falling in love to being in the middle of a storm, stormwind. And it's a cool performance, very 90s. This has a cool choreography as well. She has a lot of energy for this. When I discovered that this won in a tiebreaker against the French song that year, I actually prefer the French song. So that sours my opinion of the song a teeny tiny bit, but it's still a fun pop song, not too deep or anything like that, but fun to listen to. And so I'll put this in the good tier and actually ahead of a lot of the others. 1992, Linda Martin, Why Me?
My love shines in your eyes. Why me?
So now we enter the period of Irish wins with ballads, and out of all of the ones that won in the 90s, this I think is my least favorite one. She performs this quite well. She's a charismatic performer, but the song itself is just a bit too repetitive for me, even though I also like the lyrics, this humble feeling, why did you fall in love with me of all people? That's kind of nice, but otherwise the instrumentation, the composition is not all that interesting to me, and so I'll put this in the not my cup of tea pile. Then Niamh Kavanagh, In Your Eyes, 1993. I really like Niamh Kavanagh as a performer. I think she adds a lot of personality to the songs she performs. The song itself is a standard pop ballad, not all that interesting, but I like how it grows in intensity and power as well. The lyrics are all right, so I'll put this in the mid-tier for now. 1994, Paul Harrington and Charlie McGadigan, Rock and Roll Kids.
We were the rock and roll kids. Rock and roll was all we did.
I love the harmonies their voices create. I love both vocal tones a lot. I love how calm and subtle and relaxing this song is. But there's one thing that I never really got into. I understand what they're trying to do, but setting the lyrics about we have been rock and roll kids, and this word rock and roll with this ballad is a bit weird to me every single time I hear it. I understand, again, what they are trying to do. They're not rock and roll kids anymore. Now they're older men who don't party anymore, I guess, is the meaning of the song. And it's a bit nostalgic and all that. But this, tension between the word rock and roll and the ballad, I never really got over to really enjoy the song. And so this is down there with Linda Martin, but ahead of Linda Martin. And actually, Linda Martin is a bit lower. 1995, Secret Garden Nocturne. I usually don't really like instrumental music, but I need a voice to latch onto to really get into a song. But this one is really, really beautiful, relaxing, subdued. The instruments obviously are very beautiful, and also the few parts of the song that do have vocals work really well. And so I'll put this in the good tier. It's not a song I get excited about, and I don't really listen to it if it's not in the playlist of all the winners. But it is a good song. Then 1996, Ima Quinn, The Voice.
I am the voice of the past that will always be filled with my sorrows and gladden my fears.
So the last Irish winner, and as you saw, we had 4 winners in 5 years that were from Ireland. This one I had some issues with in the beginning. As I said, I don't really like high vocals, and this one obviously is very, very high throughout the entire song, and that's still a bit of an issue for me. But I think the instrumentation, this Celtic feel you get is very beautiful. The lyrics are great as well. She is kind of the voice watching over Ireland and the hunger and pain and stuff like that. So there's a historic part to the lyrics as well. She sings this incredibly well. There's something ethereal and very magical also about this performance. So yeah, very Irish, very good, but the vocals keep me from enjoying this even more. Katrina and the Waves, Love, Shine a Light, 1997.
Shine a light in every corner of the world. Let the love light carry you.
On paper, this is a very standard pop rock song, but I love the lyrics for this, especially after 2020 when all the participants that weren't allowed to perform on the Eurovision stage sang this song together. It got a whole new meaning in a way, but I always liked this song. It's catchy, it's cozy in a way as well, and she performs this incredibly well, obviously. And so this one, the last British winner also, by the way, I'll put this in the great tier. Donna International, Diva, 1998.
Viva la diva, viva Victoria, Cleopatra.
This is actually the first contest I remember watching, at least in part. I don't think I saw this winning because I don't remember that. Maybe it was too late and I had to go to bed, but I do remember the German entry, Gildo Horn, and his crazy performance. This was an important year, I think, for Eurovision. It was kind of the coming out for Eurovision. You saw all the fans in the audience for the first time. It kind of broke out of its shell. I think this was the first year with televoting as well. You had some more out there performances, and obviously to have Dana International win was very iconic as well. However, when we look at the song and the lyrics are kind of okay, actually listing all of these powerful women in history. But the song as a composition is not all that interesting to me personally, and it's not one of my favorite winners, but I do understand how important and iconic this win was for a lot of people watching Eurovision and for Eurovision itself. I'll put this in the good tier mostly because of what it did and less because of what the song actually is. 1999, Shalot Perei, Take Me to Your Heaven.
Take me to your heaven when my nights are cold and lonely, flying high together.
A lot of people compare this to ABBA, and I completely understand all the similarities. This sounds very Swedish, but in the best possible way, I think. This is such a catchy song, so positive and life-affirming. I love her way of performing it with the backing singers as well. And yeah, it's incredibly catchy. I think I listen to this quite a bit and it always stays in my head. And I'll put this in the great tier, actually, even though I do recognize that the song itself is kind of standard pop, but in a very good way. So now we've entered the new millennium, the year 2000. Ozen Brothers, Fly on the Wings of Love. I also remember watching this contest, and I actually remember this winning. We watched the voting and we watched the winner's performance, and I still remember my mom saying that this was actually a very good song and that she understood why this won, which was normally not really the case in a lot of, and it still isn't. I don't remember watching 1999, by the way. I think we skipped that one. I don't know why. The fact that this one was surprising to a lot of people on the night, I read later on, but I think it makes a lot of sense. The song is very catchy, well composed. The fact that you have two men of a certain age singing about falling in love makes this very wholesome to me as well. It is catchy. I love listening to it. And the way, it intensifies as well. And this was the first song I think I bought a single of, at least the first Eurovision song, and I still have it somewhere. And so they're very charismatic performers, and it makes complete sense to me that this actually won. And so this one goes into the great tier as well, and actually ahead of a few of the ones we have already seen. 2001, Tanel Bada, Dave Benton, and 2XL, Everybody.
Come on, everybody, let's feel the funk that always lives within our hearts. Come on, everybody, and let it out and leave the moment here and now.
So this is very cool because it's the first win by an Eastern European countries who had joined throughout the 90s. And this was the first time one of them won. The song itself is all right. It's fun in a way. It's kind of catchy, but it's lacking a few things for me personally. Especially Dave Benton performs this incredibly well, vocally as well. But it's not really one of my favorites. I think I'll put this in the mid tier, which is filling up quite a bit. 2002, Maryanne, I Wanna.
I wanna be the queen in your sweet lies. I wanna be the last spark in your eyes.
So this is another one, unfortunately, that I don't really like, because I feel like this one because of the gimmick of the dress reveals during the performance. The song itself is not good, I don't think. It sounds like this kind of tropical song that you hear in some holiday resorts maybe, but it's not a great song. It's not very catchy. She is a charismatic performer, and that's the main reason why this won, along with the gimmick, I think. But I will put this in the bottom 10 because it's just, relying way too much on the gimmick. 2003, Sertab Erener, Every Way That I Can.
Every way that I can, I'll give you all my love affair. Every way that I can, I'll die.
This one completely passed me by when I watched Eurovision in 2003, and I didn't quite understand why it won when it won, but then I listened to it a few more times and I really fell in love with this. The attitude she has performing this song, the Turkish instruments layered in this modern pop song. It's just very, very cool, something I hadn't heard before in my little village in the middle of Germany. So I also bought the single for this one. I also have it somewhere, and it is quite an iconic win, I think. Now we had this sing-along performance of this and the songs coming up in the second semifinal of Eurovision last year, and I just really realized how iconic this is. And now, starting from 2000, 2003, I also have some nostalgic feelings because I remember these songs actually winning, and that obviously adds to the whole experience as well. So Every Way That I Can is a great, great song, and I'll put this in the great tier ahead of Toto Cutugno, actually. 2004, Ruslana, Wild Dances. I was completely baffled and a little bit shocked when this won, because in the early 2000s I was still very narrow-minded in what I thought good songs were. I liked ballads in French and different languages, but I didn't really like traditional elements in the songs, which has completely changed if you've been to this channel. And I also just liked more subdued songs more than these out there entries and upbeat entries. But now, especially the Ukrainian version of this song, I really like. It's so full of energy and power. And I love the traditional elements now that give this a very distinct feel. So thank you, Ruslana, for opening my mind over the years. And this one goes into the good tier as well. Yeah, should be there. 2005, Helena Paparisu, My Number One.
You are the one, you're my number one. Anything for you 'cause you're the one I love.
Now this one feels a bit more standard pop than the two entries we just saw, but I love the Greek elements in the instrumentation here. She is obviously an incredible performer. She looked perfect on the night. Everything about her outfit and everything was just perfection. The choreography completely worked with the song. And this is another one that during the sing-along performance in the second semifinal last year, I realized that I now like listening to this song. When this won, it felt very inevitable in a way, and it wasn't as surprising. But it is a good song. I think this deserved to win. However, I think that Die For You, the song she performed with Antique a few years before, is actually the better song out of these two. We've seen that a few times in Eurovision history, but still, this is a good song, and I'll put this in the good tier together with Donna International. That feels right. 2006, Lordi, Hard Rock Hallelujah.
Rock and roll angels, we got hard rock, hallelujah. Demons and angels, only one have a right.
Now, if you listen to me, what I just said, that I like ballads and more subdued performances, you might know how my reaction was when this won my beloved Eurovision. I was completely shocked. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't understand Europeans voting for this. But again, over the years, I have become more open-minded when it comes to music, and now it is so clear why this won. The song itself is kind of a schlagery song, actually, if you really listen to the melody, but obviously with a very hard rock instrumentation, which makes it really cool. The costumes are well done, all of them, actually. So it is kind of a gimmick, obviously, and it won partly because of the gimmick, but I still think that this is also a very cool song, and this is obviously a very iconic Eurovision winner. So now I'm a bit more lenient towards it. It's still only mid for me. I don't really listen to it personally, but it is a fun entry. 2007, Maria Šerifović, Molitva. This is such a beautiful song and performance. If you've listened to me, ballads in national languages with great vocals are right up my alley. And this definitely was. I loved this in 2007, and it has not grown off me since then. I love listening to it. There's just something about it, the vibe of the Balkan ballad. It has lots of traditional elements, but then there are also elements that make it sound like a pop ballad to me and makes it more accessible maybe than some of the other Balkan ballads. Her vocals are incredible. She has this very specific vocal tone, very unique, a bit darker and deeper, and this sustained long note, this powerful moment during the performance where the backing singers also support her, is just incredible and gets me every single time I listen to this. Obviously, being in a national language helps as well to give this a very specific vibe, and I just adore this song. It is one of my favorite songs, period, not just Eurovision songs, and so this goes to the top 10 right away and to first place. For now, let's see whether one of the songs coming up can beat this. 2008, Dima Bilan, Believe. This is one of these entries that just feel very calculated to me. It's obviously made and composed for Eurovision, an English pop ballad. I don't feel like he really feels what he is singing in the song. He's barefoot, he's ripping his shirt open. There's a figure skater and a violin player on stage. It all feels very made to do well at Eurovision, and it did. But to me, this is just not the kind of song that stands the test of time at all. And so this is in my bottom 10 and actually below Sandra Kim, I think. Yeah, for now it is. Then 2009, Alexander Diva, Fairy Tale. Now this is obviously a very iconic winner as well. There are lots of elements to this that make it special. I think the chorus, very catchy, very pop as well, very accessible to a large audience. And that's one of the reasons why this got so many points on the night. He's a very charismatic and good performer, but adding the fiddle and the traditional elements gives this a lot of power and makes it stand out as well. The only thing I don't really like about the performance nowadays, I used to like it a lot, are the backing singers in their pink outfits and the dancers doing these traditional moves. It feels a bit cheesy watching it now, but it probably helped it get as many points as it did. And overall, it's a catchy song, it's an iconic song, and so I'll put this in the good tier, but below Karula, actually. And I'll order these later on in the video once we have all the songs added to the tier list. 2010, Lena and Satellite.
Love, oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute without your love.
This was obviously a highlight for me as a Eurovision fan, seeing my own country win, which was something that I expected never to happen again after the early 2000s, where it seemed like the big five countries were doomed for the bottom five. And seeing Lena win was incredible. I am still happy thinking about it, and I still can't quite believe that it actually happened. The song itself is not that great if you only listen to the song, but she really lifted this to another level with her authenticity and just her youthful charm in a way. So yeah, she is the reason this one, I think, not so much the composition or the song. I listened to this song, it must have been 2,000 times, my poor neighbors that year, because it was iconic, because it won for my country. But now listening to it, it has kind of grown off me a little bit. So I'll put this in the good tier, but yeah, as a song, it should probably be in the mid tier more than the good tier, actually. 2011, Elle and Nikki, Running Scared.
I'm running, I'm scared tonight. I'm running, I'm scared of life. I'm running, I'm scared of breathing.
This is another one of these winners that feel like they were made to do well at Eurovision, and I think in this case it's actually quite obvious. They bought this song, I think in Sweden, and then they found these two singers to sing the song. Their chemistry doesn't really work, I think, on stage. They play like they're in love, but it doesn't quite feel authentic to me, at least. The song itself is quite okay. It was staged well. And in this very special year, which was a weird year, I was there in the arena when this won. There were lots of songs that had bad staging or bad singers that were good songs. And the songs that weren't as good had great stagings. And so it was all quite mixed. And on the night, this felt like the right winner in a way. But over time, the song became less and less interesting to me. To be quite honest, it's not very catchy or anything like that. So I'll put this in the not my cup of tea pile. Not because it's bad or like it doesn't really stand out in any kind of way is the problem. 2012, Lorine, Euphoria. This is obviously an iconic Eurovision winner. I started watching the national finals in 2010 or 2011. I can't quite remember. But after this one Melody Festival, and I was obsessed with this performance. I had to watch it over and over again because she just performs this so incredibly well. This weird kind of choreography that fits the song so well is kind of, yeah, makes you want to see it over and over again. The song is very catchy. It's a perfect pop song. It became a hit all across Europe after Eurovision, or at least in a lot of countries. She sings this incredibly well, and the whole performance and staging has a lot of her artistry in it as well. And it's just great. And the fact that this won against the Russian grannies and prevented them from winning was a plus for me personally. So this goes to the top 10. Where exactly? Yeah, somewhere around here, I think. 2013, Emily de Forest, Only Teardrops. On the night, this felt very inevitable that this was going to win. It feels very made for Eurovision as well, with the different instruments, the flute, and the way the song is structured. It's very catchy and well made, but I have issues connecting to it sometimes because it just feels very calculated. To me, she's a very charismatic and good performer, but this is not one of my favorites. I'll put this in the mid category for now. 2014, Rise Like a Phoenix by Conchita Wurst.
From the fading light I fly, rise like a phoenix.
Looking back, this feels like the most obvious winner of Eurovision in a long time, but on the night I was actually rooting for the Common Linnets and Calm After the Storm because I just love that song. I still love it today, and I like country music, and I thought the staging was also amazing, but Conchita's staging was out of this world as well. The way the camera comes in, goes out, the wings, everything about it is just very glamorous. And the song itself, I didn't love at the beginning. Now I really, really like it because together with the message of the lyrics, it just really works. And there's a real diva moment when Conchita is on stage performing this. The vocals are incredible. So if people tell you this only won because it's a woman with a beard, I don't think that's true. I think the performance was well staged, well sung, well performed, and the song is good as well. And this is now an iconic Eurovision winner because friends from other continents who don't really know what Eurovision is, they do know who Conchita Wurst is and kind of heard about this performance. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them. And so this will go into the great pile for now. 2015, Mons, Selma Love, and Heroes.
We are the heroes of our time. Heroes. Oh.
This is obviously another one that feels like it was made for Eurovision, but it is very well performed. The song is kind of catchy. I still don't connect to it on an emotional level. It's more like objectively like rating this as a good song, but I can't quite connect to it 100%. But the staging with the graphics and everything that goes on is just incredibly professional. And in hindsight, good that this won in 2015, but it's not really one of my favorite songs. It's a good performance to watch, but I wouldn't really listen to the song. So actually, I'll put this in mid, somewhere around there. 2016, Jamala with 1944. This is quite unusual for a Eurovision winner. It's a ballad in Krim Tatar in English. The vocal styles that she uses are very unusual for Eurovision as well. But I think the fact that she puts so much emotion into this song, every single word that she sings, and especially this moment where she kind of rocks her child, sings to her child, and lets out this scream from her gut, really, where all the pain that she sings about is really put into song and into her voice. It's just incredible. And the staging for this is out of this world as well, with the tree coming up behind her, signifying a rebirth of sorts. very, very good song. I loved this the minute it was selected in Ukraine and listened to it over and over and over again. And then I didn't really expect this to win Eurovision in the end. It was a compromise winner, but I completely understand why this won, and I'll put this in the great pile. Salvador Sobral, Amar Pelos Dois from 2017. If you've been to this channel, this song should be right up my alley. It's a ballad in a national language. It's very subdued, relaxed, sort of old-fashioned in the instrumentation. And I love Portuguese entries usually. I was in the hall when this won, and there's just something that's missing for me with this song. I don't quite know what it is. Maybe it's all the stuff he said around Eurovision, that the voting was too complicated, that the other songs were like fast food music, and he just wasn't very likable for me as a lover of the Eurovision Song Contest, that he kind of, criticized a lot during Eurovision week. I don't really know what it is. I should be in love with this, but something is missing. But obviously the rest of Europe really fell in love with this because it got a huge amount of points. The last winner that won both the juries and the televote. But for me personally, it's more of a good song. I can objectively see that this is a good song, but I don't really connect to it emotionally. Netta and Toy from 2018.
I'm not your toy, not your toy. You stupid boy.
I really liked this when it was selected. I thought it might win Eurovision. Then Eleni Foureira came along during Eurovision week, and I thought she was gonna win. But then this did manage to win in the end, which made a lot of sense. The song is very catchy. It was very in keeping with the moment when it comes to the lyrical message, a bit of female empowerment. But with time, this became a bit, it grew off me a little bit. I still like it quite a bit. But it's not like I listen to the song over and over again. The chicken noises have become a bit cheesy to me now after these few years. And so now I would put Netta, in the good, I think. Good tier still. Duncan Lawrence and Arcade 2019. When this came out, everyone loved it. I didn't quite get it 100% at the beginning because I missed something in the melody that I could latch onto, which I then found, and then it made its way into my head and my heart as well. And I absolutely adore this song. I think Soldi that year would have been an even better Eurovision winner, but this became an international hit during the pandemic, and I completely understand why. He performed this really well. I had some issues with the staging where I thought they could have come up with something better, but overall, this is a great, great pop ballad, well produced, well composed, and just very catchy also. I now realize that, and I still like this a lot. So Duncan Lawrence goes into the great pile, and actually in the front of the great pile. Then there was no Eurovision in 2020 because of the pandemic, but we got a big present when we returned in 2021 when Måneskin won with Zitti e Buoni.
Siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro. Siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro.
This song and performance to me is just on another level. This is definitely not made for Eurovision. They're just doing their thing, going to Sanremo, winning Sanremo, going to Eurovision, winning Eurovision, even though this is not really the kind of entry that wins either of these two competitions, but it did because of their energy, this power that they have, the visceral nature of it all. I don't even know how to explain it 100%. They are just incredibly cool and sexy when they perform this song. And the song itself, the lyrics are incredible about not wanting to fit in and telling everyone to just go on talking. I'm just going to do my thing. And that works obviously also with the type of song that it is. And I was over the moon when this won Eurovision. And I have listened to this song, I think, 700 times or something over the last couple of years. Every morning when I need to wake up, I listen to this. When I'm at the gym and I need a bit of motivation, I listen to this. It just gives me power and is just a very invigorating song as well. And Damiano David is just such a charismatic performer. Kind of breaks my heart, the kinds of songs that he sings now, like standard pop in English. I hope they return at some point with some rock. And the fact that this is rock in Italian just adds a different layer for me as well. And so Måneskin is Zitti Buoni is probably my favorite song at overall, not just Eurovision, but in general. And so it's definitely my number one of my favorite winners. Kalush Orchestra Stefania 2022. This obviously created a moment with everything that was going on, but it's also a very, very interesting song with lots of different elements, hip-hop, traditional elements, some pop, like really interesting, the combination of all of these things, the fusion, and it all comes together to create a very cool and kind of catchy song with very deep and meaningful lyrics. And so this is a song that I think is good. I don't personally really listen to it, but I think it's a very good song, definitely. 2023, Lorine and Toto. Lots of controversy here, obviously. Why didn't Kerria win? Why did she have to win for the second time? I think Kerria would have been a great winner, but this is also a great winner. It's a very catchy pop song. It is kind of made to win Eurovision, to do well at Eurovision. I recognize that, and looking at what I said about some of the other winners, I should not like this, but somehow I do. This completely clicked for me. There are some moments in the song where she really shows a lot of emotion, and that helped me connect to the song. The other winners that are kind of made to win at Eurovision don't really do that. And the staging for this was world class. She is an amazing performer, very charismatic, and the first woman to win twice. And actually, now I prefer Tattoo to Euphoria. Please don't unsubscribe yet, but I do. I think, I don't know why, but maybe it's nostalgia, because that year I listened to that song a lot and I remember a few things that happened that year. And that's not the same for Euphoria, but I just prefer it to Euphoria. Sorry about that. Then 2024, Nemo and The Code. This was one of my favorites going into Eurovision. I did not really believe that this would win. I thought Baby Lasagna was going to win, but seeing the performance now, I rewatched it just a couple of days ago. It makes complete sense. The kinds of acrobatics that Nemo does during the performance are just incredible. The jumping around and the vocals are great. This is very high, and I should not like it for that reason, but it's not high for too long, if that makes sense. The vocal performance, I mean. There's a deep message in the lyrics that's kind of smartly done, and it is a very catchy song as well. And so this one I would put in the good or great. I think good, but very high up in the good category. And last but not least, JJ and Wasted Love 2025. This is one of the winners that I can't quite connect to. I think it's because of the vocals, because of the two music genres that I don't really love. And I've heard a cover of this by someone who performed it in a bit of a country style, and a lot of emotion came through. I think it's just a personal thing that I can't feel emotion when someone sings that high and that perfectly also. The staging is cool, very artsy, very different, and it's cool kind of that we have a Eurovision winner like that. But it's just not my cup of tea, unfortunately. Sorry, Austria. So there we are. These are all the winners put into tiers. Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 songs in the top 10. So let's see who is has to go down one. I think it's actually Euphoria. Sorry, I did not expect this to happen, but all the others just give me a specific vibe that I love. And let's see, Måneskin first makes sense, Maria Sherifovic second makes sense, Après Toi makes sense, and the others, I would put these ahead of Marie Myriam, ahead of Lorine and Grete and Jürgen Ingman. Then the great tier, Lorine, Every Way That I Can, Arcade, Toto Cotugno, Ruslana, Ozen Brothers, Johnny, Logan in 1987, Conchita, France Gall, Hallelujah, Nonoleta, and Beitje. And Beitje is good, I think. That's a bit too high in great. Love, Shine a Light. Yeah, I'll leave it in great. And Take Me to Your Heaven, and then Jamala. That makes a lot of sense to me. Then in the good tier, in Beitje, The Code, but The Code is ahead of in Beitje. I'm not ordering these too much because, you know, once I listen to it, it goes up, and then I listen to another song and I think, oh, this one is also very good. So it doesn't make all that much sense to order this even more. But Lena, Karula, Alexander Rybak, well, actually, Karula goes up one, and Lena too. No. Lena is more the nostalgic feeling I get when I think about this, but the song, as I said, is not that great. I can't put it in great, I think. Who else do we have? Ned als Tun, Amar, Pelos Deutsch, Yes, Dinge Dong, bit lower. Diva, bit lower as well. Netta, bit lower. Stefania makes sense. In the mid category, I think Lordi has to go up to good as well, somewhere around here. In the mid category, so this is not really, I don't really love it, but I also don't dislike anything about the song. It's just mid. And we have Emily de Forest, Mons Selmelöv, Neve Kavanagh. La La La, I would actually put up here. Vivo Cantando a bit higher as well. Tu te reconnaîtras, yeah. All the others kind of make sense, I think. Yeah. And then Not My Cup of Tea, 2025 makes sense. 2011, yes. 1994 is mid more than Not My Cup of Tea. Refrain. It is what it is. It's not, let's put it in mid as well. I'm being too lenient, but let's do that. Merci Chérie, yeah. Ein bisschen Frieden. Sorry, my own country, but it's just too cheesy for me. 1992, 1969, the French song Abani B and Making Your Mind Up. Making Your Mind Up actually goes to my bottom 10. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need one more. I think Running Scared is a good bottom 10, but not much higher. Maryanne, Making Your Mind Up, The Harrys, all kinds of everything, Tom Billy B, Dors Mon Amour, Boom Bang a Bang, J'aime la vie, and Believe. These two are my least favorite winners, and I think that will stay that way for a very long time. So this is my final ranking in 2025. Let me know if there's something I got completely wrong in your opinion. This is just my opinion, like I said. But this was great fun, and I hope you liked listening to it. Do subscribe to the channel. Do vote in the winners knockout we're doing at the moment with all of these songs as well. And you get to choose which of these winners goes on to the next round. I'll leave the link in the description. And I hope to see you for my next video. See you then, and bye-bye.